Well, good morning and welcome to Mrs. Bell's Sweet Treats and More. This is my YouTube channel. Today is Monday and this is Monday Moments. Welcome to my cooking place. I am in my kitchen and I am enjoying the morning and the quietness of the morning. And I was thinking about the time of year. It is now officially summer. It is beautiful outside, and there's always something new to see, you know. I've been making, this morning I've already started, I'm making a raspberry dream pie. And I've already begun. It's a very simple recipe. I'm going to put a twist on mine. I usually use a graham cracker crust, but today I'm going to use an Oreo crust so that I have chocolate raspberry. You can certainly use the cream cheese. Use the graham cracker crust. You can actually just put this on the plate and eat it up. You know, I'm one of those people. So I've already whipped together my cream cheese. I use room temperature. And room temperature reminds me of a person. So when you use cream cheese or eggs or butter or milk in a recipe, many times it's to be at room temperature. For this is just a few ingredients. But when I think about the room temperature, I think about warmth, and I think about us. And when things are room temperature, when we feel comfortable about something, we tend to be more easy to spread, so to speak. Have you ever been around people that are kind of cold and stiff? Sometimes they're cold and stiff because they're scared, or they're uneasy, or don't know how, or well, for many reasons. But you being your warm temperature self, go into a room and you change that circumstance. So I whipped this quite a bit, and I want it to be really, you can kind of see how it's off of here. So this is what I have. It looks really creamy. Kind of a dream in itself. It's just sugar and cream cheese. Some people use honey, some people use Splenda. I use natural sugar. To this, I'm going to add 6 ounces of raspberries. Now, I'm going to let the raspberries go in there and do their work. I found fresh raspberries. It's that time of year where you can find these fruits and vegetables, and raspberries I kind of like them a little bit more than strawberries sometimes. So I'm going to take these fresh strawberries, and I've already rinsed them. I usually bring my vegetables and fruit home, rinse them all for soaking. So I'm using my beater because I want to break them up, but I don't want to use all of them. So I'm just going to use a few of them. All right. So I'm going to let that go. So you can kind of see on the beater, I'm going to put it down a little bit because I actually like the cream cheese, and I'll love it today. So this is what we're looking like here at this point. The raspberry is very loose because I used the room temperature cream cheese. So of course we're going to put this in the fridge or the freezer, depending how soon we want to serve it. Now I'm going to add my Cool Whip. Now I'm going to taste this. It's important for you to taste it so that it's to your specification. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar. I just added a few 2 tablespoons, but I'm going to add just a little bit more. I'm going to whip it. and get it all in cup. And then I'm going to add Cool Whip. You can actually add, make your own whipping cream, but we want something that's quick and we can get it done. I am going to add my Cool Whip. And I'm going to add it kind of slow. I'm not going to, stir it softly. I'm not going to whip it to the ground because you know I can do that. So while we're making this, it's also not frozen. And then I'm going to just stir it around and stir it around and stir it around because I want it all mixed in, but I don't want to lose that whipping of the Cool Whip, that puffiness. We hear about things being puffed up, and when we're making bread, we want it to be puffed up, and we want it to have the fluffy texture and the lightness, and that's what we want here. So when you take yourself into a room and there's a cold person there, for whatever reason, they may not even realize that they're cold, or you may be. People may perceive you as cold, and you're not that. You're just learning, or you're not that kind of person. Some people say they're not a people person. I found something very interesting. We're all people, to more or lesser degree. And sometimes our relationships reflect that we are not a people person. Now, we should always be people of integrity. We should always be people that can be depended on. But sometimes we may not know how to mesh with people. And then there are people we know how to mesh with easily. Remember, you are an amazing person. And whether you are cooking, every time you cook, there's something different. You may make the same pie, the same cookies, the same chicken recipe, but remember that nothing that you're doing is really the same. We often hear about mundane and ordinary. Every time I cook, there's different flour. Even though I measure exactly for my recipes, every grain of flour, every time I cook, it's going to be a different amount. Okay, so it's supposed to be 3/4 of a cup of flour. Okay. When you measure that flour, are you counting the grains of flour or the grains of sugar or whatever? No, because we are really taking that cup to be what we are measuring. But we don't know the exact measurements when we're talking about the grains of flour, or if we're using salt or whatever. So know that every time you cook, it is a creative act. Know that it is something new, and know that it takes courage and risk sometimes to cook, because even when you do the recipe right, the stove may be this or that, or you may just not be feeling it, or you just don't want that particular thing. So don't go into cooking as though it is just all one thing. It is not. So I have an Oreo crust that I already purchased. And I'm going to fill up my, Now I'm going to put this in the fridge and let it get to the firmness I want, because it's a little bit too soft for me to add my raspberries. So I'm going to put this in the freezer, add my raspberries, and then we're going to have a piece of it. So I'm going to pop this in the freezer, and we'll get back. Well, we're back. Our pie is nice and formed, and I'm going to top it with some raspberries. Now, I've coated these raspberries with some sugar, and I'm just going to put them on top of my pie, raspberry, green pie. I'm gonna cut a piece. So here's a slice. This is our raspberry dream pie with an Oreo crust. And I'm going to take a little bit. Delicious. I hope you get to make it. You have a good one. Bye-bye.